There are two reasons why memory is so important. On one hand, memory creates a link between us, the past, and the future. Memory gives us an idea that we are not on our own, but we're part of a long process called human history, that our judgments, our deeds, on one hand, are based on certain things that happened before us. On the other hand, they have huge impact on the future. We're responsible not only for what happens to us, but also for what happens to the entire humankind. Second reason why memory is so important, because it very much helps us to understand our own motivation, to understand how we can work for the improvement of the world. It also helps us to remember what mistakes, what improper things have been done in the past, and work on ourselves. Memory is never about the past, it's always about the future.
Hi, my name is Dr. Richard Plavniks, and this is what I think about memory. There are two major European countries that had ghastly totalitarian regimes in the 20th century, Germany and Russia. That's not an exclusive list, but those are the two main ones. And that ghastly regime was defeated in Germany in 1945. And starting in the 1950s, the West German government began to arrest and prosecute and imprison Germans who committed crimes at the behest of the Nazi Party. The West German government opened all of the archives and allowed unfettered access by scholars to all of the information pertaining to Nazi Germany. They incorporated Holocaust education into their curricula and have taken other steps to reckon with the past, a process that the Germans call Vergangenheitsbewältigung. The noxious totalitarian regime that was in charge in Russia collapsed at the end of 1991, and no people who committed crimes at the behest of the Communist Party were ever prosecuted by the Russian government. They have not incorporated serious reckonings of any kind into their school curricula. And all of the archives in Russia are closed. There was a brief moment, a glimmer in the 1990s when it looked like maybe Russian society would face up to what their government did to all of their country's neighbors and to their own people, but that moment never actually came. And so that, I think, explains the difference in political culture right now between Germany and Russia, and the difference in how they relate to their neighbors. So understanding one's own country's past and reckoning with it seriously isn't just the right thing to do, but it's also necessary for the future of peace and security. And that goes for the United States too. The United States has to reckon with all of the terrible things in our history. And that's an imperative. It's a moral imperative, and it's also it's an imperative if you want to live in a peaceful society where people are happy, and if you want to live in a peaceful country that doesn't attack its neighbors.
My name is Karen Syme, and my great aunt Harriet was deported from Hamburg in 1941 and died, as far as we know, at Jungfernhof camp. When I found out the name Jungfernhof through just researching some family history a few years ago, it was the first we'd heard of it. I'd never heard of the camp at all, despite having my family and I having a great deal of interest in Holocaust history. And it bothered me that, well, at two levels, that there could be a camp where thousands of people died that might be forgotten entirely from history. And the fact that that's one of the closest relatives I have that we know was killed in the Holocaust ended up at this camp. And there's two levels of forgetting there, trying to keep the memory of her alive in our family, but also at the same time to keep alive the memory of what happened at Jungfernhof, because I think it's as important as ever nowadays, more important even as memories fade, to keep Holocaust history alive. And if we start forgetting pieces of it, like if Jungfernhof passes from memory, that's wrong. And if we can illustrate, or personalize the story by telling what happened to our relative and what her loss did to our family members, I think it's important to keep those kind of memories, both the larger and the more intimate family memories, going as best we can.
My name is Fred Saalberger. I'm 92 years old. I live in Cedarhurst, New York for the last 62 years in the same house. And I was deported from Germany in November 27, 1941. I was not quite 12 years old. And I was taken to Riga, Latvia, and was taken to the camp called Jungfernhof. I'm the only one survived from my family. We all survived Jungfernhof. We all survived after Riga and Kaiserwald, and we were taken to Stutthof. And that was the last time I saw my mother, my sister, and my father, and other aunts and uncles, but they were already not with us anymore. They were taken to Jungfernhof and didn't see them anymore. And I was born in Würzburg, Germany in 1929, and we lived a normal religious life till Hitler came to power, and my father was taken to Buchenwald already in 1938, Kristallnacht, and he was there for 9 weeks and came. And I live here in Cedarhurst with my family. I mean, my children are all grown, and I've grown grandchildren, and we live a pretty normal life. I mean, I will never forget what happened. I mean, why should we forget? The world is in terrible shape right now. So whatever we know, look at Israel, look at Ukraine, wherever it is, it's not in the best of shape.
My name is Herbert May, M-A-I, with der Monat Mai, and I am 92 years old, and I live in Florida.
12 years old.
I was 12 years old when I was in Jungfernhof, and I was learning the Pascha that I should say on my bar mitzvah, and it was done under not much duration. I was made bar mitzvah, and I was 13 years old in Jungfernhof. Und das Schlimmste, das ich mich erinnern kann, that I can remember, is when my father got hit by an SS man. That it never got out of my mind, that somebody hit him for no reason at all. And the same thing when we were going from the train station to Jungfernhof, we were marching in very heavy snow, and the leader there said, anybody that can't walk can go on the bus. And I said to my mother said to me, come on, we go on the bus, we go. We let him drive us there. And I said, no, we're not going on the bus. And later on, I found out that the bus was went into the woods, and whoever was on the bus got killed. So that was, I found that out later on in my life, what happened. And then I was walking on the street in Jungfernhof, and an SS man called me, come here, and I did not listen again. I ran away, and they were hollering at me, come over here. And whoever they caught, they put on a bus, and they cast them on the bus. And it was the second time that I was, within a year, that my life was saved.
Hi, my name is Karen Frostig. Memory is about the most basic capacity to be human. Memory is individual, it is collective, it is intangible, it is with us every minute we breathe. Memory is part of what envelops us in this world and sustains us. Memory is also a place of hope and meaning because of its capacity to connect us to each other. In a world that is torn apart, memory allows us to come together, to listen carefully to each other, to come closer, and to understand what it means to be human.